Lisa Marie. Just hopping on live to do my chapter 8, The Science of Getting Rich. Thanks for hopping on. If you're here live or replay, let me know where you're watching from. And let me know where you're watching from. Chapter 8, The Science of Getting Rich. I want to know, it's the title is The Use of the Will. Okay, I want to know in the comments who, if anyone, has watched The Secret or read the book. She has many versions of that book out, different secrets of happiness, secrets of abundance, and the secret of all kinds of things. That was Rhonda Burns, okay? Where did she get that idea of The Secret? She learned all the principles of this book, The Science of Getting Rich. She went through a horribly depressed time in her life. She would not get out of bed in the morning. Her daughter was very, very worried about her. And so she had heard all the things that people say about this book, The Science of Getting Rich. And so she gifted that book to her mother. She was so depressed. I mean, I don't know exactly the details if she lost her husband or what exactly happened, but she was in a very depressive state. Her daughter gifted her this book. She read the book and her life was starting to change. It's amazing what this woman has done. And based off of this book, which, by the way, was written by Wallace T. Wattles in 1910, okay, over a century ago. There is this whole procession of people that have gotten rich by studying the principles of the science of getting rich. For instance, Rhonda Burns, that's one of them. We're going to get back into her. There was Napoleon Hill, Andrew Carnegie, Tony Robbins, Oprah, Bob Proctor, Robert Hollis. That is my mentor. I thought I was doing so good today. I remembered to shut off my phone, but I forgot to turn the radio down. Anyway, okay, so there's this whole procession of people that have been successful because they studied this book. They didn't just read it, they studied it. They learned the principles. They incorporated those principles into their everyday life. They became better people because of it. So Andrew Carnegie, the richest man ever to walk the planet, was one. Earl Nightingale, The Strangest Secret. You can find that on YouTube. You listen to that for 30 days. It is going to change your paradigm. It's going to change that stinking thinking that however we got that stinking thinking in our head. It's going to change that paradigm. It's going to make you realize that you have choices, you have options. You don't have to settle for what you think is the truth. Like Robert always says, when you know what you know, and you've always known, and it's not so, when would you like to know? Isn't that, just stop and think about that. How do you know? How do you know anything unless you find proof yourself? Earl Nightingale he had the very first audio on an LP. What I think they call them like 78s or something like that, or were they 45s? No, 45s were, going way back. Okay, I'm getting off point here. Sorry about that. Okay, so um, what it is, Bob Proctor, did I say him too? Anyway, this book earned Rhonda Burns a whopping, the movie, and then she got the book, a whopping $300 million because she took this book and she studied it. She didn't just read it, she studied it. She learned those philosophies and she created something of her own from those philosophies. No, she didn't steal it. She learned the philosophies and she got creative and came up with her own version, per se. There you go, your own version. It's just like what I'm doing right now, reading a chapter and then coming on here and telling you my analogy. Okay, that's the same thing she did. You know what I mean? Obviously, to a far more extent than I am, but that is what she did. She didn't steal the principles, she gave it in another perspective. Another perspective. Just because you think one way does not necessarily mean that that's correct. It's correct for what is in your heart, maybe. Let's just leave it at that. But and what she had to do in order to do that is she was envisioning exactly what she wanted. Most people don't, they if you ask them what do you want exactly, and most people cannot be specific. They can say, "Oh, I want a whole bunch of money." Well, if you're not specific, everybody wants a whole bunch of money. What makes you different from anybody else? You need to be specific. You have to envision it and you have to feel it with every emotion that you have. You have to feel it with every sense, all of your senses. You're seeing, you're hearing, you're smelling, the feeling, what you're hearing. You know what I mean? Everything that you are experiencing, just like it has already happened. Just like it has already happened. Think back when you were a kid and you really, really, really wanted this bike. I remember when I was a kid and wanting this 10-speed bike. I was getting tired of hoofing it everywhere. I wanted a bike, and I want something that was gonna, you know, whatever. I wanted it to be nice. So I had this blue Schwinn 10-speed all picked out and I wanted it so bad. I felt it. I felt it with every emotion. That is how much I wanted it. I could feel myself riding it. I can feel myself having freedom from either hoofing it or my parents. It just all those feelings, all those emotions that make you feel like you are already experiencing it. That is the secret sauce. That is the secret. Feeling it and knowing it in detail, just like you have already experienced it. And don't let that go far from your head at all. It's not what you pray for in private that one time a week, or if you have a ritual, that's awesome. But whatever time you set aside for prayer, don't think that that's the only time that you should be thinking about this, because you need to be thinking about it at all times while you're at work. Well, you got to be focused on what you want and be a working force going into that direction. So, what kind of person do you have to become to achieve what you want? Is there a roadmap? I mean, you get it fixed into your mind and you find somebody that can put it in a perspective for you so that you can actually visualize something. You got to have your vision in place first. But let's just say if you're with a company, okay, it doesn't matter what company, whatever. Hopefully you have a mentor, okay? And a mentor could be anybody. It could be, Napoleon Hill. It could be Earl Nightingale. It can be Bob Proctor. It can be Robert Hollis. Or it can be somebody within your company, okay, that is above you, that is doing what you want to be doing right now. That is a mentor. When you say mentor, most people think dollar signs. Not always necessarily true. Not if you are creative and not if you are using resources that are available to you. You got to want it really, really bad. Really bad. Because if you cannot get that vision in detail, I think you just either don't know what you want. That is probably it. You just don't know what you want. People, mentors, people of influence, they can help you with that. My mentors are helping me with that. It's not easy. If you've never have before 3 years ago, I did not even work on self development. I never even heard of it. I'm like, what? And now I just kind of raise my eyebrows when I ask other people, have you heard of Earl Nightingale or Bob Proctor? And they say no. And I'm stunned because I thought I was the one being left out. How come I didn't know about this? Why didn't I know? Just 3 years ago? That's kind of sad. That is really sad. I think other people need to be aware that there is a science to getting rich. We are proving it right here. So, anyway, that's what you have to do to start manifesting. Envision it and get it in your heart and feel it like it's already happened. All right, I'm going to go. I've got many, many gifts in this group, and this is all we do. I give gifts of books, and I go on twice a week live and share my analogy of that chapter. So you can only benefit from checking it out. So thanks. How are you doing? Thanks for hopping on. I appreciate that very much. I hope you got some value out of that. If you did, leave me a heart or two. I'd appreciate it. All right. You guys have a great night.